Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this video I'll be showing you guys how I created my lace closure wig. I did pick up some hair from my local beauty supply. It was a one-pack solution, so it had everything that I pretty much needed to create my wig. So here are how the bundles look straight out of the package. I did grab an 18, 20, and 22-inch bundles. I was actually a little scared because these bundles look thin, but once you unravel them and everything, they did thicken out. So my wig at the end is thick, you guys will see. Here's how the closure looks. I just wanted to show you guys before I bleached it. This is how it looks. I was a little skeptical on this closure when I first seen it at the beauty supply because it didn't look like the regular closures that I'm used to getting off of like Ali Pearl or West Kiss Hair. But the guy did tell me, the manager at the store, he told me that this was a Swiss lace. I guess it's just like a different type of Swiss lace, I don't know. But once I bleached it and everything, it kind of looked like the ones that I would get offline. So yeah, this is how the closure looks. And now I'm just about to bleach my closure. So I use the regular quick blue, and then I'm using my Salon Care 40 volume developer. So here I am bleaching the knots on the closure. I was a bit heavy-handed when bleaching my knots. I don't know, maybe I was rushing or something, but you want to take your time when bleaching the knots on your closure or you'll over bleach the knots like I did, and honestly it doesn't look nice at all. But this hair took really fast considering it is virgin hair, so I did leave it on for 10 minutes and this was my result. As you guys can see, my knots are like way over bleached, but you can easily fix this with black hair dye, or if you need something quick, you can fix this with like mascara. It's not the end of the world, you guys, if you over bleach your knots, but you don't want to leave it like this because it looks bad. It looks almost like bald spots in a way, and you don't want people walking past you like, oh, does she have bald spots in her hair? But yeah, you can easily fix it, so don't worry, you guys. So now let's start making our wig. So all you'll need is a weaving needle, and if you have more than one, it will make the process way faster. You'll also need 4 T-pins, and you'll see why later in the video. You'll need a mesh wig cap. I got this from my local beauty supply, and y'all, my head is big, so I had to get an extra large. You'll also need your lace closure to start off with. You'll need 1 hair clip. And then lastly, you'll need some thread. Now that we have everything that we need, you're going to apply your wig mesh cap to your wig head. And I want to properly show you guys how to apply it. If you're using this type of mesh cap, this is how the back will look. And you just want to make sure everything is wrinkle free because you want your bundles and your closure to go on properly. And then this is how the front of your wig cap should look. And this is the front of your wig head. So this is where your closure or your lace frontal will go. So first thing first, we're just gonna apply our closure. Here you just see me placing my closure where I want it at in the front. I decided to place it directly in the front in the middle, but you can place it on the side or anything like that. Just make sure it's in the front, you guys. So as you guys can see, when I was telling you guys earlier about the T-pins, this is what I use the T-pins for. They really do come in handy while you're sewing down your closure, your lace frontals, or your bundles. It just allows you to have free mobility in a way when you're doing your sewing. You basically don't have to worry about the lace or the bundles falling down or holding the bundles up while you're sewing. So it just allows everything to stay in place while you're sewing. Now I'm pretty sure a lot of you know how to start your thread, but for those who don't know, just grab your thread, place one end through the needle, then cut. Once you have 2 ends, connect them by creating a knot, and it's simple as that, you guys. Long as you follow how I did it in the video, it will come out just like this. It's so simple. So I wanted to zoom in better to show you guys how I sewed my closure onto the cap. You want to take your needle and sew through the lace closure and as well through the top layer of the mesh cap. With starting your closure out onto the cap, there is an elastic band, and you want to make sure you don't sew through all the layers of the cap, only the top layer. But once you move past the elastic band, you'll be able to sew through the cap as normal. Also, when it comes to sewing down your closure, you want to make sure you stitch very closely together. This just ensures when you cut the bottom of the mesh cap that your closure won't fall apart. Now that we're done with our closure, you want to take some scissors and just cut the thread, but don't cut too much because you want to be able to tie a knot about 2 to 3 times. And then once you tie your knots, you want to take your scissors again and just cut the excess thread up into the knots. So there you have it, guys. You have a flat sewed in closure, and that is where the T-pins come into play. You see how flat this closure is? It's not lumpy or anything. Now we can sew in our bundles. I'm taking the longest length I have to start the bottom row, and as I work my way up the cap, I'll use my other lengths, but with my 18 being the last bundle I sew in. So just like I started my closure, you can do the same thing with the bundles. The only difference is you don't have to closely sew, but for the bottom row I did, and once I started to work my way up the cap, I just started to sew a little bit further apart, and you guys will see what I mean more in the video. I zoomed in more just to show you guys how I sew the bottom row of the bundles. The reason I sew fairly close is because this is the back area of our head. This is the area we tend to pull hair a lot towards the front and the side of our head, so I wanted to make sure the wefts were secured to the cap. But as I work my way up, as I mentioned before, I do sew further apart. So like I did with the closure, once I was finished, you just want to take some scissors and cut the thread, then tie a knot about 2 to 3 times. Also for this wig, I didn't cut the wefts. I simply just folded the tracks over and started sewing on a new row. And I would say I started about a pinky length above each row, and I did that for the first 2 bundles that I used. So this is how the first bundle looks all in, and then I'm gonna move on into my second bundle. I'm starting off with my second longest length, which is my 20-inch length, and I'm just gonna start off that bundle the same way I started off the first bundle and how I started off the closure. It's all the same way, you guys. Also, I did want to mention I double wefted my bundles on the first two bundles, and then once I got to my last bundle, I single wefted my bundle onto the cap. It doesn't matter if you single or double weft your bundles into your cap, but if you want to elude like a more thicker or fuller look, you can double weft, but I recommend you only do that for the first 2 or 3 bundles, because once you get to the top of your wig, you want to make sure it lays flat. So that is why I only single weft at the top. Here I'm showing you guys my stitching. This time, since I moved more so towards the middle of my cap, I started to stitch further apart. The further apart you stitch, the faster you'll be done making your wig, but you don't want to stitch too far apart because you want to make sure your webs are secured onto your cap. So sorry you guys for this bad angle, but I want to show you once we get close to the closure with our bundles, you want to connect the bundle with the closure. So here you just see me sewing through the closure and the weft base to connect the two. Now we're done with our wig, you guys. We finally made it. So you just want to take a comb and comb out your hair and just get all the kinks that may be in there or anything like that. And then you want to take your closure down and finally blend it in with the rest of the bundles. And before I forget, you guys want to make sure you cut off the cap at the bottom of your lace, because you don't need that at all. You just need the lace part and then the cap that goes around it. But yeah, just make sure you cut off the cap underneath your lace, and make sure you do this carefully because you don't want to cut the stitching or your whole wig will be like ruined, or not your whole wig, but your lace closure will be ruined, and then you have to re-sew it down, and that just takes too much time. We don't have time for that. So just make sure you do it right and carefully the first time. So here's the finished result of how my homemade or handmade wig came out. I was very happy with how this turned out. It is super full and super thick. And did I mention that this came from the beauty supply, this hair? Like, y'all, you guys can achieve the same thing with beauty supply hair. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't, because you can. You just have to do your research and, you know, find some good hair. But there is good hair out there that you can find. I like to make my wigs because it allows me to have full control of how I want to customize a unit to fit my head, and it also saves me way much more money than buying a pre-made wig. So yeah, I hope you guys found this video helpful. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video.